welcome back, and thank you very much for staying with us here on the JoyNews channel. And today we're speaking to Professor Kofi Asare Opoku on the sages. He's a student of African culture. And I like one thing he said: all African ancestors are his own ancestors. It means we are all from the same source. Nothing like a division. But Prof, before we went for the break, I was talking about, the fact that you're an environmentalist. And when I was reading about you, of course, because of my association with your son, Nanado, I knew that you had an Anansi. And one of the questions I'd been longing to ask you, in a period that people are engaged in real estate and they're building, they're destroying environments for whatever they can do, why is a 90-year-old man so convinced about the forest that you've actually bought a place, about 40 acres of land, as a forest? Why?
Well, you see, my life is guided by the life of my ancestors. And my ancestors did not dissociate themselves from the environment.
Okay.
The environment for them was part of their very selves. The environment was an extension of our ancestors. And so they did so many things to preserve the environment. I mean, who were they apart from, they defined themselves in relation to the environment in which they lived.
Okay.
Okay? And so, as a person who respects his ancestors, I could not just be a teacher or a student of African culture. Our culture also involves our environment. And our ancestors preserved their environment. In fact, they were described as worshippers of nature. And the people who brought new religions claimed that they had revealed religions, but that we were practicing a religion of nature, which is mundane and worthless. But there is wisdom in what our ancestors did, because what we are destroying today, building estate houses everywhere, is what some people preserved. Because if our ancestors had not preserved the environment, there wouldn't be anything for us to destroy. But because they did it, and they did it in so many ways, some of these taboos and restrictions, and we think, oh, we are educated, we are Christians, we don't, pay attention to these taboos that arose out of paganism and obscurantism, that kind of thing,
Okay.
So I felt that I want to teach our current generation that when our ancestors talked about culture, it involved the environment.
Okay.
And so I decided on my own years ago, to buy land on the mountains and preserve it for posterity. So posterity will come and see what a forest looks like.
Okay.
I have two places, the Anansi. The Anansi is the forest, and then the Anansi is the orchard and herbarium. So many medicinal plants that our ancestors used for people who visit to know that there is so much knowledge that is close to us, because our ancestors lived within the environment, and they lived and studied. They were very conversant with the environment.
And talking about that environment, I think it will be important for us to see, the Anansi, for instance. It will be important for us to see the Anansi too.
Yeah.
So we get to see everything about it. So I'm sure you should take us there, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm ready, because Anansi starts from here. From my house in Teshinuma.
It starts right from here?
Yeah, the forest starts from here. So if you want to see the forest, you start from here, and then we go up the mountains to see the forest.
way after you then.
Okay.
If you're ready,
We are.
then let's follow.
Shall we?
Yes, we'll follow you.
Okay.
And then get to see, you know, the forest. I'm sure you would be telling us more about all the trees and the flowers.
I'll tell
and
you
what they
about a
mean.
few things. Yeah. Where's my walking stick?
Yes. Hold on. Let's get you the walking stick. I'm sure. Yes.
Call Ajete.
Yes, Ajete would bring the walking stick. He's just getting the walking stick. So
Okay.
that, you know, we can use that and go around and appreciate nature. Yes. There you have it. Great.
So, of course, you can see these palms. These are Bismarck palms from Zanzibar.
Oh, okay. These are from Zanzibar.
From.
Okay. I
Oh, no,
understand.
sorry, from Madagascar.
Madagascar,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, Bismarck palms from Madagascar, you know. And then this is called Asa. Asa is a fruit that makes everything taste sweet.
I know that. That's a bit reddish.
Reddish in color.
Yeah.
And I want to introduce Asa into our naming ceremonies in Ghana.
Okay.
Because the Asa fruit makes everything sweet. So when you plant Asa for a child who is being named, you are saying that the life of the child would be as sweet as Asa.
As the fruit.
Then secondly, the stem of the plant is supple. You cannot break it.
Okay.
So this child is going to be resilient, able to withstand any challenges in his or her life. And thirdly, this tree, Asa, has longevity. It grows to a ripe old age, you know. The Ghana people say, he came with black, may he return with gray, long life. So if we combine these three wishes, you can't find any wishes for a child in the whole world that come anywhere near. And I planted, well, of course, the Ochenhine and his wife planted this on March 17th on my 90th birthday for their granddaughter.
Okay.
On that
planted by
day.
Ochenhine and the wife.
Yeah, Ochenhine and the wife planted this Asa on March 17th, 2023.
Okay.
Now this plant is called Queen of Philippines. It's a very beautiful plant, and there is another one. And this is another Asa tree. I have 6 of them in my house in Accra. And everybody could have this in their house, you know, with the very little space that they have. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a guava, you know. It grows very big. You could see the young ones coming.
it's beginning to.
I'm in competition with the birds, so they also.
But I'm sure you love the birds.
Oh,
too.
I love the birds. Oh, sure. I'm happy to have them eat, even the asa and so on. You know. Yeah. And then this is the mango. It's diseased now, but we're trying to, you know, fight the disease and get back to the good old days when mangoes were lying on these benches and 1-year-old kids could pluck mangoes, you know.
I see something. So I see these grasses and I see the stones in here. Anything about them why you decided to do this?
Well, actually, this was my daughter's idea, Nana Sewa, who is an architect.
Okay.
You know, so we have stones, and then this stone seat, all this were Nana's creation. And, you know, I love stones, and I want Ghanaians to know that we are working on beauty. All these stones are underground. If we pulled them up and decorated our buildings, this would be the most beautiful country. You can see this stone seat here, you know. That it's very nice, and it adds to the house, you know. Yeah. So we can have a brief
Yes, we can sit here
conversation here,
and
you know.
continue with our conversation. I like how it looks like. So this is all your daughter's idea.
Yeah, this section is my daughter's idea, and you know, it's attractive. Look at all the plants I have around the mango, and you know, I tell Ghanaians who are very fond of going to church and worshiping God, you know, that whenever you admire an object in nature, you are worshiping the Creator.
How? How is that the case?
Well, nature is the most beautiful gift we have from the Creator. And so when you admire the beauty in nature, you are thanking whoever created these things that make you happy. So, but of course, unfortunately, in Ghana today, we don't seem to care about nature. Who knows the name of a single bird or tree? How many of us go bird watching? We don't care who goes hiking in Ghana. But we should be going hiking. We should know the plants and animals, the insects. We must be very conversant with our environment.
Why? So talking about being conversant with our environment.
Yeah.
Tell us, for instance, why it's important to be conversant with your environment. What it does for you to be conversant with the environment.
Well, the environment, when the environment disappears, you are gone. The trees provide us with oxygen, okay? And we need oxygen to survive, to live. And if we cut down all our trees, we are cutting down our life, you know? And you see, your life is incomplete unless you relate yourself to your environment. You know, I'm happy to live in this. Many years ago, I decided that I'll create my own world and live in it. And so I have all these plants around me. I feel happy and complete. I derive the energy from the plants. Every morning I get up and I walk among my plants and commune with them.
You commune with them?
I commune with
How?
my plants. Well, there is communication that goes on between humans and the environment, but we don't know. We think that the only way to commune is to go inside a place of worship and so on. No, you can be worshiping all the time by admiring nature, resonating with nature, absorbing the energy in nature. I believe that, you know, I'm who I am because of the environment in which I live. I mean, people would say, oh, this is paganism. Well, whatever paganism is. But I am deriving a lot of wisdom, a lot of energy from nature. I spend time in the forest, and the experiences I have in the forest, I cannot even articulate.
Wow.
You know, when you spend time in that Anansi Kwai, you feel after a while that there is a presence. You know, there is a presence. But you have to allow yourself to have those experiences. Because if you are told, oh, if you go to the forest, you know, you're going to see ghosts and spirits and so on. But allow yourself to have these experiences. As I've said, you know, some of the experiences I have in the forest have deepened my understanding of life, my understanding of God, because I have come to the conclusion that God is not in heaven. Okay. God is in nature. Of course, people may say this is pagan, but God is in nature, okay? And if you get close to nature, you get to understand God better. Okay. This is my experience, you know.
So if we get close to nature, we get to understand God better.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen the destruction of the environment.
Yes.
Particularly when it comes to destruction for gold.
Yeah.
I mean, destroying our environment in the name of mining, in the name of getting gold.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that then? Why is it difficult for us to protect the environment? Why are the leaders sitting down unconcerned?
Yeah, well, it is because they do not know. They think that nature is an object of exploitation for the satisfaction of our appetites. But that is not nature. We are part of nature. And we as human beings are supposed to live in harmony with nature. That is the only way our life on planet Earth will have meaning. If you love nature, nature will love you back. If you hate nature, you pay for it. In another 20 years, I believe Ghana will be full of houses. But what would that mean? Nothing. Heat, polluted air, and everything else that will destroy our own lives. We must know that our salvation, our success, our welfare depends on living in harmony with nature. I have not seen a town or village in Ghana where they have trees along the streets so that people can walk in the shade to go to the market. There is not a single park where people can go and enjoy nature. Who are we? Our life is incomplete. So every town or village must have trees and flowers and so on. People tell me, well, we don't have food to eat. Why do you want us to plant trees? And I tell them, listen, one secret has eluded us in this country, and that is if you wake up in the morning and see beautiful things, they lift your spirits up. You become enthusiastic about yourself. You may even feel there's nothing you cannot do. Yes, and there's nothing we cannot do. But on the contrary, if you wake up in the morning and see the filth and the stench, they depress you. You know, we are an uninspired people. We may not admit it, but if we were inspired, we wouldn't live in such surroundings. Why can't we create surroundings like this and live in and be happy?
So for that person who destroys his environment, I mean, I want us to find out from you, because of your love for the environment.
Yes.
What should that person know today? Why should he stop the destruction?
Yeah. Well, his very life depends on nature, on the trees and the plants. They give you oxygen. And without oxygen, you cannot live. We don't know that. People must be told that in the absence of trees, our life is endangered, because we can all die if the trees stop giving us oxygen. The buildings we have put here will not give us the oxygen that we need. I will tell you that the trees are more important to our lives than the buildings we live in. But we have been educated to think that, oh, nice buildings, you know, painted red, green, and white are signs of progress. They are signs of retrogression. This tree is worth more. And my forest, the forest, I tell people, the forest has more value than all the buildings in Accra to us. That's what I believe. Yeah. And so one of my daughters sent me money to buy a car, and I bought some more land instead.
You didn't buy the car?
No, my car is 32 years old and it's still running. So I'd rather buy a forest and preserve it rather than buy a car.
You're preserving it for the next generation? I'm
preserving it for posterity. That's my only interest. That posterity may come and find this forest and maybe be inspired, because you can create a forest anytime you want to. So I want young people to become enthusiastic environmentalists who will then plant trees and save the forest so our lives can improve. At the moment, the life we're living in Ghana is a wretched life. The atmosphere is polluted. There are no trees anywhere. All our streets are bare. The heat, look at us. Can't we plant trees to walk in the shade? Our women are selling on these hot streets, and there are no trees anywhere.
It's not a National Tree Planting Day.
We lack enthusiasm. You know, I suggested in 2012 in an article to the Daily Graphic that instead of buying houses and pickup trucks for best farmers, we should have put all this money into buying seedlings, and that every able-bodied Ghanaian should plant some trees along our streets that are distressingly bare. And if we did this over a few years, Ghana will become one of the greenest spots on the earth.
Okay.
But And then instead of celebrating Farmers' Day in December, we call December Openima, the beginning of the dry season. Let's bring the Farmers' Day to the end of April, early May, and whatever we plant will have taken root by the time the rain stops at the end of June. I did not get one response from the reading public, pro or con, but I still think that if we would convert Farmers' Day into a day on which every able Ghanaian, every able-bodied Ghanaian becomes a farmer planting something, this country will be transformed in 5 years.
Wow. That's a conversation we'll pick up. But we need to go to the forest now.
Okay.
So we need to go to the forest now. So, folks, stay with us. We're going straight out to Mampong, to Anansi, where we can actually get to.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, but let's just, even before we go to the forest, I'm sure, Prof, you want to show us the last part of your forest, which begins here. Right?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, this is all part of the forest.
Okay.
That begins here, you know. Yeah. And this is a very important medicinal plant. The guys call it aluguntugun, and the Akans call it intunkum. And it's the best cancer medicine, unlike chemotherapy that destroys all your cells.
You mean this is...
Yeah, the leaves, I drink the tea,
you drink the tea?
Yeah, the leaves as tea. You see the fruit is coming, the fruit is there. You eat the fruit, then the seeds you roast and sprinkle over your food, and it kills all the cancer cells in your system.
Roast the seed and sprinkle over your food.
Over your food, okay.
Okay.
And this is a Brazilian dwarf coconut. Huh?
Okay.
And in another 3 years it will produce fruits, and it produces 200 to 300 fruits at one go. So in 3 years' time you come and you see this. And these are some bougainvilleas, some, what do you call it? Whatever, anyway. And then I have a small garden here.
Oh, okay. Know. So this is the forest, this is the garden.
Yeah, this is the garden, you know. I want to show you, you know, I have plantain. This is lemongrass, like tea. And you see the plantain there. You can go and take a picture. You know, this is my plantain. I just harvested the apim, the mpentu here, you know. But
and you have cassava too.
I have cassava, you know, and I have apim here, and I have okra, you know, and some peppers all around here. And I had a lot of purpose, but the wind kind of blew them all down, you know. And I want you to smell this.
Let me have it.
The smell is fragrant, huh?
Yes.
It's akoko besan.
Akoko besan. Oh, okay. This is what we use in preparing chicken light soup.
And, you know, the main house is called Nsuta. That is where my mother was born.
Okay.
But this part is called Anansu. That was my grandmother's village, you know, and there are all kinds of stones. And so this is Anansu.
Okay.
And you could see, I still have some asan here.
Yeah, some asan here.
And look at the wall, you know. I have a tree in the wall.
Oh, okay, this looks like a tree in the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand that now.
You see, you have a tree in the wall.
Okay, so
you know.
Design, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
You're really a man of the forest.
Yeah. And then this is an external kitchen designed by my daughter Nana. Instead of cooking inside, we cook outside.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. And then I have some coconuts here. And this is the oldest asan tree that I have here.
Oh, this is the one you got me one the last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
But now it's flowering. You see a lot of flowers.
Yeah.
A lot of flowers on it, you know. And this plant is, you see it on the farm. It's called osimpi. It's a very important medicinal plant. At night, the leaves fold, go to sleep, and they open when the sun comes up. Yeah. And so this is, you know, and I have another garden here,
Okay.
you know, where I have an avocado growing and some pawpaws. I'm going to be planting more, you know, okra and pepper here, okay. And then we come here, and here I have a collection, you know. Well, the Ghanaians call this plant tie and dye, but it's very beautiful. You know, every leaf is different.
Yeah.
Every leaf is different. And when I talk about communicating with nature, you know, you look at this and you begin to wonder, why is it so? And let's look at this and that and these, you know. So you are inspired, you know. And this is all acts of worship, you know. It's not just speaking in tongues and waving handkerchiefs and fasting and so on. But this is actual worship. And these are called cane palms that have grown, you know, into this size, you know. And of course you have the Bismarck palms here, you know. And those ones are called bottle palms. Yeah. And you have more tie-dyes here, and see, the whole house is covered with plants.
The plants, yes,
you know.
I can see that. I can see that.
And
the
any
forest
type
indeed starts from here.
Yeah, the forest starts from here, and the beauty of nature.
Yeah.
You know, imagine if we could have these along our streets. Why can't we? You know. And all this, and then a view that I love is looking through the branches and seeing the Queen of Philippines in the distance.
I like that view.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, you know, so you are worshiping God, you are praising God by admiring all these plants and so forth, you know. Okay. So now
we can go to the forest.
Now we can go inside.
We can go inside, okay.
And show you a few things before we go.
Sure.
Before we go to the forest.
Yes, let's get to appreciate a few things inside.
Yeah.
And then we get into the forest where we get to, again, commune with nature.
Commune with nature. Commune with nature.
And that's become very important because of who we are.
Yeah. And this, you know, I even have a symbolic tree here, as you can see. You can see the tree, you know, I'm demarcated with charcoal and the masons.
And this was deliberately done?
Yeah, deliberately done. Yeah. So this is my living room.
Okay.
You know, and every room has a stone wall. And these stones were just plastered, but when you look closely, you begin to see some images. So let me show you a chief. So this is a Ghanaian chief. You see the shoulder of the chief.
Yes.
You see the neck of the chief.
Yes.
You see the ears of the chief and the hat he's wearing. Now the masons didn't mean to create this. They just plastered them. But when you look closely, now you can see an animal like a pig in this image. You see the mouth. Okay, here too, you can see like a human being. You see the head, you see the eyes, you see the mouth.
Yes.
And here you see a man wearing a turban. You know, there are his eyes, his mouth, his neck, and so on and so forth. Here you can see a lioness. You know, look at that.
Yeah.
You can see, yeah. Okay, and this is my totem. This is this crocodile.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my father's clan has a crocodile as a totem, and when you and I are in the water in a river and the crocodile comes, the crocodile will attack you, but not me, because the crocodile is my totem. See if you can lift it. Just try to lift it. And yes, all in one piece. It's from Tanzania.
Okay.
Yeah, and of course you've seen the giraffes already from Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay, and then these are some stools. And this is our symbol for the golden rule, Obinkabi. You know, this is Obinkabi. And this is Inchinchim, steadfastness in the face of adversity. Okay. Yeah. And then these are pictures of my, well, this is the wedding picture of my grandfather and my grandmother in 1879.
Wow.
When Tete Kwashi brought cocoa to the Gold Coast.
1879.
1879. This is my mother. This is my father. This is Nanado's daughter, for whom they planted the Asan. And this is a grandnephew of mine. And this is a table I love. It's from Burkina Faso, but it's so unconventional. It's so unconventional, and that's where the beauty of this seat lies. Now, I have an artist friend called Sammy Bentil, who does all these masks. Take a picture of this. This is a beautiful mask, and there is another one here, another one of Bentil's masks. Now, this is a piece of sculpture I bought from a student at KNUST in 1981. But 2 years ago, I was going to the farm, and I saw this table by the wayside, and I immediately knew that I knew what to mount this musician on, because you see the lines on his clothes, and you see the lines, and this is what made me decide that this is where it belongs. And this is a pot made by a nephew of mine called Kwame Amwa, who used to teach ceramics at KNUST. You know, and it is an incredible pot. Now, a few things here. In the distance, you can see Okuampofu's Ebony Queen.
Yes.
There, okay. And then this kente cloth piece was brought to me by a friend. He had it in his house, but when he came here, he decided it belonged here. And this is one of Glover's beautiful paintings, a market scene, you know. And over there you have Bentil's masks, sculptures. Yeah. So you know, this is the world in which I live.
Why do you keep all these things around you?
Yeah, and I am happy to be, because everyone has the opportunity to create the world they want. You don't wait for the government or anybody, but you create what you want. It's not money, but just knowing what is beautiful, admiring nature and surrounding yourself with nature, and you lead a healthy life, a happy life, because you are always inspired if you live in an environment like this. Okay, so I'm trying to teach the young people that it is up to them, you know, to create the world they want. They should not depend on, expect somebody to come and plant trees and create a nice environment. Each one of them can do it, you know. So from here we can go to the forest.
We can go to the forest now. And go and experience nature and get to commune.
Nature at its best.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Yeah, so this is where Ancestral starts.
Okay.
And Ancestral is 3 acres. It's an orchard, cum herbarium. Lots of medicinal plants and fruits from different parts of the world. And I'll show you some of them.
Okay.
And it's a very lovely place. I say that the only part of the forest I have disturbed is this, in
Why?
the sense that I have introduced plants that were not here before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is jacaranda from South Africa.
Okay.
So this is Anansi Okura. Welcome.
Thank you.
And I will take you to the welcoming area
Okay.
where I sit to welcome my visitors.
Okay, you sit around to welcome people.
Yeah. This is the picnic area,
I see.
and this is the welcoming area.
This is the welcoming area.
Yeah.
Okay,
Under a yoyi tree.
Ah.
Hmm?
Haven't seen one before.
Yeah. So this is where we do our mania before we begin the tour. So, sit.
Okay.
This is where I welcome my visitors.
Okay, so this is the yoyi tree.
Yeah, this is the yoyi tree. It's an old one.
Okay.
Yeah. And yoyi is called velvet tamarind in English.
Yes.
Yeah. And these stones, I should have shown you where I got them from when we were climbing the mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, where you saw the waterfall, the
Yes,
smaller
yes.
waterfall. This is where I got those stones from. And I follow nature, so everything is in circles. There are no rectangles here.
Why should things be in circles? I mean, since we're talking about
Well,
nature.
the circle for our ancestors is the symbol of the universe.
Okay.
See? And the circle has no beginning, has no end. That's life. The circle is security. And when our ancestors decided to build houses, they created the universe and put themselves at the center of it. That's why we have round houses in Africa.
Okay.
You see? In the center is security. This is, and every architecture has a philosophy behind it, but we don't know ours. You see, round houses symbolize the universe.
Okay.
No beginning, no end.
So I mean, I hear you talk a lot about our mindset. I mean, everything we've talked about so far points to one thing, our mindset.
Yeah.
So that would bring me to that question. What is it about our mindset? And what mindset do we need to develop as a people?
Yeah. I will tell you something. This is not, well, wisdom is wisdom. But the Buddha said one thing. And he said, if you want to know what you have been thinking, you know, look at your life. And our ancestors said, if you get hold of the head of the snake, the rest of the body is a mere string. That shows you the importance of our minds. If your mind is dominated by someone else, you are just a helpless tool which can be manipulated anyhow. And I think that our minds, you know, have been dominated or corrupted by other ideologies that makes us feel that we are inadequate. You know, there's something not quite right about us. Now, what makes us feel that we are lacking? We're not lacking in anything.
So if I get you, we are unique, we can do it.
Yeah.
Let nobody tell us, Bibini Subaye den we are say.
Yes.
Or let nobody tell us the unique things about other people, because we are even more unique than the others that we talk about.
Definitely.
And the moment we begin to think about us as who we are supposed to be, it would unleash our development.
Yeah. Yeah. Once we begin to realize who we are and accept ourselves without question, without doubt, okay? Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with us. We are enough as we are, as a people.
But Prof, and let me welcome all of you again. Let me welcome all of you again.
To Anansi Okra.
Anansi Okra, you know, we're currently at Anansi Okra, and you can see everything in a circle here. Prof has just explained, you know, we got carried away because of how we showed up in nature. When I say we showed up in nature, we're excited because of the surroundings. Okay, that's something you normally wouldn't see. This is still the Sages on the JoyNews channel. But Prof, the things you talk about accepting ourselves, as we drove here, you could see our streets filled with dirt. So isn't that itself an admission of the fact that we have a problem?
Yeah, we have a problem, but it is not an insoluble problem.
Okay.
We can solve it. We can solve our problem by recognizing ourselves as a people without blemish, a people like everybody else. We are not inferior to anybody. What everybody has, we have it, even in abundance, and we have to have self-acceptance. We are a people. We are whole. We are enough. We're not lacking anything. What makes us feel that there is something, there is nothing lacking? We have to realize this. Once we accept ourselves, the best gift we can give to the world is ourselves, being ourselves as Africans.
Now, how is that going to enable us, for instance, to do the right things? I mean,
well, once you accept yourself as a whole person, if we realized how important we are, we wouldn't tolerate the surroundings in which we live. We would say, we don't deserve this. And we don't. We certainly don't deserve the environment in which we live. We can create a paradise. This is a paradise. But we are the only ones who don't know that we live in a paradise. We have to know. We open your eyes to the beauty of nature surrounding us, the birds, the flies, the butterflies, and everything else here. It's a gift of nature. And if we recognize it, how many of us even know the name of a single bird? Do we think it's important? Who goes bird watching? Who goes hiking? We don't have a town or village in which there is a park, a green area for people to go and enjoy nature. We don't. Why don't we? It's not poverty. It's not lack of wealth that we live in such surroundings. It is simply the idea that we don't think of ourselves highly enough to demand surroundings that are beautiful. But we deserve it, and we can create it.
so if we deserve it,
Yeah.
and if we know ourselves as deserving of the surroundings,
Yeah.
then we're not going to be throwing a rubbish anyhow.
No, we're not going to. We are killing our environment, and by that we are killing ourselves. By throwing things about, by leaving everything, every place bare without trees and flowers. Why can't we? People say, we don't have food to eat. Why talk about flowers and so on? But we've missed the point. If you wake up every day and see beautiful things, they lift your spirits up. You feel good about yourself. You feel there is nothing you cannot do. But on the contrary, if you wake up in the morning and see filth and stench and disorder, they lower your spirit. We are not an inspired people, but we may not admit it. But we are the only ones who can inspire ourselves. So let us create the environment. We live in the tropics where we have 12 months of plant growth. Things will grow 12 months in the year. Why are our streets so bare? Our towns and villages, not a single tree anywhere, you know? And we must create a better environment in which we can thrive. And I assure you, if we create surroundings like this in our towns and villages, you will see how we will soar. If we love nature, nature will love us back. You see, beauty is not the buildings and painted red, green, and blue, and rooftops black and red. Beauty is nature. Nature, the beauty. Beyond nature, we cannot go. Okay. I mean, all the trees and flowers and plants, and we will, if we surround ourselves with trees, we will invite the birds and the butterflies to come and enjoy their lives. And we don't. Our streets are bare, just so bare as if we live in the desert. But we don't. We live in the heart of the tropics, where we can beautify our surroundings with trees and flowers and so on. Well, that is the only way we can inspire ourselves. Otherwise, the surroundings we live in will dampen our spirits, and our streets will be bare, hot, dusty, muddy. We don't deserve this. We can't change this. We were not meant to live like this.
Talking about how we're meant to live.
Yeah.
I'm interested in that because, you know, when we're in your house, you talked about your aspirations at the time of independence and how you feel your aspirations have been dashed. I want us to do something. What is it that we must do? I mean, apart from all the things you've talked about, our environment, you've also told us that ehiame buami intina nipayakwa.
Yeah.
What is it that we can do, bearing in mind? And I want us to go back to that because, particularly for the younger ones who are listening, you've seen the leadership. I want us to do something. First, you've talked about Kwame Nkrumah. Beyond Kwame Nkrumah, how would you assess the governments that we had until today?
Yeah, yeah. You see, Nkrumah gave us confidence, a lot of confidence in ourselves as a people, you know, pride in ourselves, pride in being African. As he said, you know, I'm not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa is born in me. And I see that after Nkrumah, our leaders did not have the same passion and enthusiasm about themselves as Africans. You see, if we had developed that confidence, and the confidence we had under Nkrumah's time even showed in sports. We could beat Real Madrid, we could do all kinds of things. We felt there was nothing we cannot do. But after Nkrumah, we were cut down to size, and we've been crawling ever since.
We've been crawling ever since.
We have to admit, you see, people dwell on the faults of Nkrumah. Oh, he was a dictator, he did this. Our ancestors said, "Watang Okwedu in America." If you hate this Okwedu, who is a bush dog, you must at least admit that he can run. The governments that followed have never admitted that, giving him credit for some of the things he did. The industrialization process he set up. Where are the industries?
We've been trying to do same, and one district, one factory.
Well, now we are starting. But why didn't we continue? 50 years ago, we were manufacturing radioisotopes at Kwabenya for hospital use. 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we were producing tomato paste in Pualugu. Now we are importing tomato paste from somewhere else. You know, we were producing corned beef, making glass factories. We were even producing cocoa sacks that we shipped our
And
cocoa.
these are all because of the belief in ourselves.
Yeah, because we believed in ourselves. But since Nkrumah, we lost that belief in ourselves. But we must recover it because it is ours. It's there. It's not going anywhere. No matter what has happened to us. I go by my ancestors, the Maasai, who said the scorching sun can never erase the stripes of the zebra. We still have the wherewithal as Africans to push ourselves forward.
So if I get you clearly,
Yeah.
you're saying that everything we need,
Yeah.
we can do it.
Everything we need, we can do it.
It's
And
only-
if we believe we cannot do it, then we must know there's something wrong with us. Yeah, what makes us think there are some things we cannot do? We can do everything because even our ancestors described God as Ochesui, Oche Manesu. The gifts that the Creator gave to everybody, the Creator gave us the same gifts. The Creator didn't give us less than anybody. No.
Okay.
So we have the same ability. So why do we allow ourselves to feel that there is something not quite? Well, there is absolutely everything about us that is good.
Let me get your views on something. Our economic model.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've been talking about government not having any business doing business today. We know that that's not something that we clearly practice. Is there anything wrong with how we plan our development?
Yeah, I think there's a lot. You see, we must always look inside, not outside. Our salvation does not lie outside. Our salvation is right here. And the minute we realize that, the minute we will be on our way to progress and prosperity. You see, we tend to feel, oh, the economy is not good. Well, what else do we need for this economy to blossom? We have gold, we have diamonds, we have bauxite, we have everything. We have rainfall, we have forests, we have abundance of everything. Poverty in the midst of plenty. Our ancestors said, yeah, we are in water and we're still panting for water. Okay, so this idea of dependency, we need somebody to help us. We must get it out of our heads and realize that we are the only ones who can move this country. All the aid in the world cannot do anything. It will make us more and more dependent. If you took a pen and paper and calculated the amount of aid that has come to Ghana since independence, it is in the trillions. But when you come to Ghana, you don't see any evidence that somebody has even brought $100 to help us sweep our streets. What happened to the money? Aid paralyzes people. It is only self-reliance, self-support. Where we went wrong, I've often said, when independence came, we interpreted it or translated it as Fawuhudi. Well, if you are Nakan and you say Obi Afanuhudia, it's not good. When others are farming and working, you are sitting under the shade tree playing draft or even Owari. When your others are working, you are sleeping. You don't, so you're fire hudi, yeah. Because well, you don't have to do anything. People will bring you whatever you need. But if we had translated it as Swawadeswa Jina Onanso, now Jina Onanso, what's wrong with standing on your feet? What's wrong with carrying your own load? There's nothing wrong with it. Our ancestors said, Modembo ebu mususu abasaso. Perseverance, hard work overcomes adversity. We have to be prepared, as our ancestors were, depending on themselves for everything. That is how we would move. But if we continue to live as if we were devoid of strength and energy and resourcefulness, well, then others will take us. We will take ourselves for granted, and others will take us for granted. The Kenyan people say, if you make yourself grass, goats and sheep will feed on you.
So it means we actually got it wrong by even way of understanding our independence.
Yes. Independence means standing on your feet. Every parent who has a child, even though he or she may love the child, expects the child, when the child begins to walk away from him or her.
Okay.
So it is not wrong to let your child walk away. That is how the child is going to be independent and stand on his or her own feet.
So we need that change of mind.
We need to change our minds about ourselves as a people.
Talking about changing minds, and let me just find out. So we've been practicing what we've called democracy. Some have said that this system is not suitable to the African context. Do you share that same view?
Democracy, there's not one brand or one type of democracy. There is Western democracy, which we have adopted, but we had our own system of democracy here. We have not examined
what
our
is
own
that system
tradition.
of democracy that we have here?
Well, for instance, we had the principle of free speech in our tradition. We have a proverb, Anansi Anton Kasa. The spider did not sell speech. What does that mean? It means that speech is free.
Yeah.
People must express themselves. And at the chief's court, if you say Anansi Anton Kasa, you have a right to speak. They won't silence you. We believed in freedom of speech. We say Obinkebi. One must not bite the other. We have that principle in our culture. You know, we have respect for the elderly. We have our chiefs and so on were not elected through a coup. You don't seize power in our tradition, you know. And just because you are big or small or mighty and you have weapons doesn't mean you should rule. Our ancestors said, if might, sheer might were what mattered, the elephant would come home to rule. But it's not the elephant who rules. You recognize, even there is wisdom not in children. We have the story of how wisdom came into the world. A very telling story. When Anansi gathered all the wisdom in a pot and went into the forest to hang it on top of the tallest tree. Anansi had the pot on his belly, and he couldn't get a firm grasp of the trunk of the tree. He heard some noise behind him, and who was making the noise? It was Anansi's son Intikuma, the small kid, who told the father, who had gathered all the wisdom, that if he wanted to climb the tree, he should put the pot on his back, so that his arms would be freed to grasp the trunk of the tree. And Anansi became so angry that this little bit of wisdom had eluded him, and that this bit of wisdom had come from his little son. And so in anger, he smashed the pot on the ground, and the wisdom in it spread to all parts of the world. That's why there is wisdom in the world, everywhere. But the important message our ancestors were communicating to us was this. It was not Nkonoria, Anansi's wife, who was an elderly person, who pointed this wisdom that was missing in his father's actions, but it was the little child. So it meant, our ancestors wanted to tell us in this story, that even wisdom can be found in the head of a child.
Okay.
So, you know, this is our democratic way, democratic principle. This is part of it.
Yes. How about the cycle of electing leaders? Every 4 years, you have a parliament that has 275 members there, the president appointing ministers. You think that is also working for us?
It's not. It's not.
It's not.
The president appoints people from his party. It's a one-sided thing. You know, they talk about this idea of winner takes all. Well, it works for some people, but will not work for us. We want to go by the idea of consensus. You see, if you differ from me in terms of thinking, it doesn't mean you are my enemy. Now, this borrowed democracy preceded by a campaign, listen to it, a campaign. What is a campaign? A campaign is going to war, a conflict. You know, we need not necessarily have conflict. There are ways of overcoming conflict. Of course, we have a proverb like, when two trees are close together, they rub against each other. It means conflict is natural. But because conflict is natural, does not mean conflict cannot be overcome. See, there are ways of overcoming conflict. And then one of the things I find lacking is that even though we may have borrowed this system of elections and the president, you know, well, when we have elected a president, this is something we can learn from our tradition. When we have elected our president, he's sworn in Accra by a Chief Justice who may be his own appointee. He swears in Accra, and the president thinks he has sworn to the nation. No. Learn from our tradition. When somebody is elected a chief, what does the chief do? The chief comes into public, bears his shoulders, his chest, takes the sword and swears. I would like, if we have borrowed the system of elections and voting and so on, I would suggest that the president, it may be expensive, but this is what we understand, that the president does not only swear in Accra, but that he goes to all the regional capitals and swears to them. Then he is a president of the country. But if you sit in Accra and swear in English, holding a Bible or a Quran, you haven't done anything.
Say Accra is the capital of Ghana.
Yeah.
So he's swearing to the whole Ghana in Accra?
No. But Ghana is made up of several regions. So you can't stand in Accra and say something in English with your hand on the Bible and say, I've sworn to the... Go to the regional capitals and let people come from the villages to see you, swear to them. That way, you would be our president. But if you swear in Accra and they overthrow you, I'll sit in Accra and say, Yetu Abayagu. It doesn't concern me. Whereas, I cannot sit in Accra and have my chief removed, destooled in my village. I'll go and lay down my life because this is a system that touches me. That chief has sworn to me.
Oh.
He has sworn to me. And if we're going to adopt this system, then an elected president should go to all the regional capitals and swear. And then besides, you see, in Ghana we have so many oaths from all the various traditional areas. Powerful oaths. Why don't we put all this together and come up with a unique Ghanaian oath instead of adopting somebody's system of putting his hand on a holy book and swearing? The holy book, that swearing, that oath doesn't mean anything to the president. But we want to do something that touches our souls, touches our psyches, a meaningful political system. And I'm relying on our political scientists to take us out of this, to study our systems thoroughly and come up with our own system, because this borrowed system will not work. It doesn't mean we don't understand democracy, but we have our own, our chiefs and queens, queen mothers were not dictators. They ruled by the will of the people.
Okay.
Okay? So we cannot just go on with borrowed systems. It's easy to borrow than to originate, but we are capable. We always say, oh, it will be difficult. Who says we are cut out only for easy things? We are cut out for difficult things, which we can overcome or surmount. And we must get it out of our heads that oh, it will be difficult. We talk about language. Oh, it will be so difficult. Well, we are not cut out for the easy things. We were cut out for difficult things, and we can overcome our challenges.
And on that note, we'll go for our final break. This is still the Sages on the Joy News channel. When we return, I'll be finding out from Professor Asare Opoku his views about education in Ghana and the sort of country he would want to see his great-grandchildren grow up in.
And you know what the Ghans call alasa?
Alasa?
The fruit.
Yes, I know that.
Which turns into gum. Yeah, these are the seedlings of it.
Where are the seedlings?
What?
The seedlings of alasa.
These
are okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we have some interesting things here. Come and see. See, so this is still an Ancestral.
So this is still an Ancestral.
Yeah. Now, years ago, I had lots of oranges here, but most of them have died.
Oh, why? What happened?
Well, they've outlived their lives, and so all these palms were planted by crows and squirrels, not me.
Oh.
And I've also tried to introduce some plants. Now this is a shea butter tree.
Okay.
I brought the seed from the north.
Oh, okay.
And then I have dawa dawa over there, and I have knapia and all kinds of things.
Okay.
Yeah. And now I have a number of twin palms. Now this coconut is from the Philippines.
Okay.
And I planted it on Monday here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not so long ago, you planted about 5 days ago.
Yeah, And so this is all an Ancestral. I want to show you some of the twin palms. It's amazing how nature, these.
So maybe after this side, we can come here and be stationary here and finish up.
Yeah. But I want him to see this.
Yeah,
maybe when you see the twin palms, you can now look at them.
Yeah.
See, look at one.
Yeah.
Look at another one. I have so many of them, which is interesting.
Wow.
To have these twin palms all over, planted by crows and squirrels.
I see.
Yeah, and just imagine, and look at the vines.
Yeah.
And the formations of the vines. You see, the forest begins from down behind the trees.
Okay.
But look at that, look at these twin palms. You can go and stand in the middle there and have your picture taken.
Yeah, there's a fruit I see here.
Yeah.
Wow.
See?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Take a picture of him, and come and look at these vines. And you see a lot more in the forest. If you look at this.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
Look at that.
This is nature.
This is nature. I'll show you one thing here. You have to see that before you leave. Now look at this. And this vine grows, it's a small vine. I'll show you a young one.
Okay.
And so it shows you how long it has taken for nature to weave this beautiful pattern. There's, well, we can sit under the bark cloth tree and do the interview. You see? Yeah. But if I hadn't bought this land, there would be houses here.
Yeah.
What a loss.
Yeah.
See another twin palm there?
Yes.
Hmm? Look at all those vines there.
Yeah. I smell something. There's this smell. It's, yeah, some fragrance.
Yeah, it's a cashew tree,
Okay.
the fruits of the cashew. And then there's a precursor tree here.
Oh, okay.
Precursor. So this is a precursor tree.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's in season during the dry season anyway. Yeah, so you see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay, and that tree there is chiapia, the chewing stick,
Yes.
chiapia. And look at another vine, you know, it's coming, you know. And then we have a bark cloth tree. See another twin palm?
Yeah, another twin palm.
And this is a bark cloth tree, the tree from which our ancestors made their cloth.
Oh,
They would remove the bark,
really?
soak it in water for 3 days, and then beat it with a stick. And as they
this
beat
tree?
it, yeah,
Let's get close to it.
yeah,
I like to see it.
yeah, it's chen-chen. We call it chen-chen, the bark cloth tree. See? And
So this is the tree.
yeah, now you come quiet. You go and listen, see if you can hear anything. Go stand close by. Don't tell us what you heard. No, raise your head. What did you hear? What did you hear?
I heard a sound, sounds like bees there.
Like bees. Well, okay. Yeah, you hear sound like water.
Yeah, that's the sound. Okay.
That's
yeah,
the
so-
sound like water. Well, yeah, there's some bees in there, but I tell people it's the voice of my ancestors singing. So this is called the bark cloth tree. See, they would remove the bark and soak it in water for 3 days and then use a stick to beat it. And as they beat it, it would stretch and stretch and stretch, and they had enough cloth to cover themselves. So it's called the bark cloth tree. It's one of the trees of great cultural significance here on the farm.
Yeah, okay.
Bark cloth tree.
I see. So,
Now I want to show you something else down here.
okay.
You see, this is a precursor
Okay.
coming. Yeah. But I want to show you one of the marvels of nature right here. See that thing there?
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, it's nature's own art. Go and stand there and have your picture taken. Isn't that wonderful?
This is wonderful. I mean, this looks like something carefully woven,
Well, it is carefully woven by nature.
but this is nature's own work. I now understand why you always want to be in the Anansi Kwai and Anansi Kra.
Yeah, because you come here and you get close to nature.
Yeah.
You absorb the energy in nature. you know, all the poisons in your body are absorbed. You're breathing pure oxygen, you know, and that's the value of this place.
Let me just ask you, I mean, once we're talking about, let me just ask you, because you're a professor, I mean, you've taught for years. If you look at our educational system, does it train the right caliber of persons for this country?
Yeah. See, our educational system that we have today does not teach us about ourselves and the environment in which we live. Our educational system makes us strangers in our own environment. It's because we have been to school that we cannot speak our own languages well. It's because we've been to school that we don't know the meaning of any Adinkra symbol. It's because we've been to school that when I do this, you don't know what it means. You see, when I do this, I'm speaking with my body. Please excuse me, I'm sorry, I beg you. Our children don't know this. When you do this, they won't know what it means. If we go to school, if we have been to school, if we have been educated, then we must be familiar with the environment in which we live. That is education. It gives you an awareness of where you live. And
Yes.
it means your culture, your language, everything. Our children don't know the name of a single tree
And
or
you
a
say,
single bird.
and you say without that kind of awareness,
Yeah.
you cannot transform
No.
your environment.
You cannot transform your environment.
So we're not educating globally competitive children.
No, because we don't know the environment from which we come. We don't know who we are. We don't have a language to speak. We're speaking somebody else's language. You know, we're ignoring all our ideas, the ideas of our ancestors. We say they are pagan. And those of us who are Christians who sing in church, Yananam Dasum Abusum, and we worship Jesus, singing and dancing to insult your ancestors because you have been saved. You know?
Okay.
But we can only develop on our own foundations. I insist that development does not mean chasing after somebody, but this, development and progress means building on your own foundations. And we have the foundation here to build on.
What's that foundation?
And that will make us confident of our culture, our language, our values, we must know our values. We go to school without knowing what does it take to become a chief or queen mother. We don't know. The festivals we celebrate, what do they mean? We don't know.
Okay.
Okay? And on and on.
What about I mean, today we've been having a lot of conversation in our country. We say we're providing free education, and so the next crop of leaders are going to be the best. They are educated. What do you make of that?
Well, if they are educated the way I understand education, then fine. But if they're going to be doing the same thing that we've been doing, then I'm afraid it will get us anywhere.
So, Prof, let me find out from you. You say we must change our educational system to teach our children to become what?
To become confident Africans, confident, self-assertive Africans. That's what we want. I wrote a paper years ago, and I said our road to development, our journey, began in Africa, and its destination is in Africa, not in Europe or America. Our education should make us into self-confident Africans without apology. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
I like that. So, what sort of a country would you want to see your grandchildren and great-grandchildren grow up in?
I want my great-grandchildren, as well as yours, to live in a beautiful country called Ghana, with trees and flowers and gardens, inhabited by people who are confident of themselves, people who feel they are enough, and people who feel they are not lacking anything, self-assertive, proud Africans who go about the world rubbing shoulders with anybody without feeling that they are less than anybody else. This is the Ghana that I wish for my great-grandchildren and all the other great-grandchildren. And I'm preserving this forest for them to come and see what a forest looks like and the beauty of a forest. And if they do love the forest, they will go and recreate. We've turned Ghana into a desert, but they can turn it into a real tropical garden.
You fear they may not come to meet anything like this if you had not acquired this?
Certainly. I mean, if I hadn't acquired this land, there would be houses all over this place. And what a loss it would have meant for them. And I'm thinking about them all the time. What will my great-grandchildren come to find? Well, they'll come to find this forest, and that will speak to them, you know, because everybody else, anywhere now, people are now seriously planting trees and talking about preserving the environment.
Exactly.
We are the only ones who don't talk much about that.
Sure. Finally on that, before we go, you talked about a system of governance, this whole winner takes it all, there's lack of consensus. How do we solve that?
Well, as I said, I'm relying and I'm hoping that our political scientists will study our system and pull the best out of them, and so that we can practice them. It's going on in our chiefs' palaces and courts, but you know, we don't pay much attention to those. We pay attention to the borrowed systems our lawyers and other scholars have copied from other people's constitutions and given us. But we need to come up with our own. We have a system. We need to come up with our own constitution. It's a system of governance that is unique. But
and that should be modeled on our chieftaincy institution?
Get ideas from our chieftaincy institutions, our social institutions, yes. The idea of consensus, we must learn from them, you know. But at the moment, the only sources we learn from are European external sources. Why?
So if we learn from our traditional systems, what kind of a system would you propose? Okay, so you've told us that political scientists should lead that. But as a student of African culture, what should that system be? So we start the conversation from you.
Yeah, well, it should be a government based on consensus. You see, you create an opposition, you know, and that means there is eternal conflict. It's not necessary. Our interest is not divergent, it's convergent. We have an Edinburgh symbol of the two crocodiles with one stomach. You see? There's a lot of philosophy in that to guide us. You see? There are two crocodiles, two heads, two tails, with a common stomach. The food they eat goes into this common stomach, and yet they fight over food, as if the food were going into different stomachs. This symbol expresses the futility of social conflict. The interests of the opposition and the interests of the government are one. We want the progress of this country, so why should we fight? We should find a common way of agreeing by consensus how to move this country. But if I'm permanently opposed to you, whatever you say, right or wrong, I'm opposed to it. I mean, this is a system that doesn't show much wisdom, because our ancestors said that wisdom is not in one person's head, or they also said other people's wisdom prevents the chief from being called a fool, because the chief must take the advice of people.
Great.
And run the country.
Look, so the opposition wants the best for the country, the government wants the best for the country. Why should they fight? The chief relies on other people's wisdom. Otherwise, he will be called a fool. I'm sure you understand why today we brought you this exciting conversation with Professor Kofi Asare Opoku. But Prof, before I go, why did you give me this stick?
To give you support and balance.
Indeed, it has given me support and balance.
And you can take it with you as a memento.
I will take it with me. Thank you
Right.
very, very much, Prof, for joining us. Folks, thank you so much for watching. Have a lovely day.